Welcome to Sitcom Showdown, a podcast that reviews classic sitcom episodes and inducts them into our very own Hall of Fame. As usual, one of us has chosen a sitcom episode and the other guy has no idea what it's going to be. Will they already know it? Will they love it? Can they be convinced that it's worthy? Let's find out on Sitcom Showdown. Hello everybody and welcome back to Sitcom Showdown. It's Jeff is here and I'm speaking first because this is Steve's choice of episode and we'll be hearing a lot from him throughout. So I'll hand over to you, Steve. What have you got for us?
Well, we're leaving the 1980s and the UK far behind.
Okay.
And I've chosen the Penguins of Madagascar.
Is that even a real show? I've never heard of this in my life.
Show? Yes. I thought you'd be completely ignorant of it, so this is going to be fun. It's an episode called Hello Dollface.
Right.
It's episode 22 of season 2. And, well, seeing as you don't know much...
Is it animation?
Okay.
Yes. That makes sense.
It's an animated spin-off from the Madagascar films.
Okay, right.
Which you probably haven't watched either.
Nope.
So the series follows the adventures of 4 penguins called Skipper, Kowalski, Rico and Private, who perform commando-like missions to protect their home in the Central Park Zoo. Yes,
I like commando-type missions.
Central Park.
Yeah.
New York. Although they can venture outside the zoo at will. And they're a bit like the guys from Hogan's Heroes in this because they can... It's like their base of operations, basically.
Right.
They're not captives at all. They deal with problems that are caused or sometimes made worse by their zoo neighbours, who include King Julian VIII, who's a ring-tailed lemur, Morris, and Mort. And there's also episodes where one penguin will go completely tonto, and the others will have to rein him in. And made me think a bit like of the Goodies. In that respect, where someone will go mad scientist and try and conquer the world or something like that, and
very good.
The rest of them have to rein them in. So it was on the Nickelodeon network in the US, and there were 3 seasons that aired from 2008 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the people who worked on it,
I'll give you a quizzical look there, because that's a big time frame from 2008 to 2015.
Yep.
Wow, okay.
There were some large seasons.
Okay.
So Skipper is voiced by Tom McGrath. He's the leader of the Penguins and he devises the tactics they're going to use, gives the orders. He's also got a bit of paranoia and the tendency to view even the most ordinary activities as a military operation.
Right.
And I should say I'm kind of mixing my notes with notes I got off Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And there's also a very good wiki for this TV show, which I took some stuff from. Kowalski, voiced by Jeff Bennett, is the group strategist and gadgeteer.
Uh-huh.
He's the
Graham Garden.
James Bond's
Q.
Q. He's the Q of the troop. Or I said the Penguin's Graham.
Yeah.
If we're continuing with the Goodies references. Rico, voiced by John DiMaggio, is the team's weapons and explosives expert who communicates through babbles and mumbles.
Right. And John DiMaggio, is he the voice of Bender in Futurama?
That actually rings a bell.
Okay. Oh, we'll worry about that later.
We can verify that later.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, if Rico was a rapper, he'd be a mumble rapper.
Oh! He would.
He's described as Skipper, by Skipper, as a world-class psychopath. He's got an appetite for destruction that has a tendency to cause just as much trouble as Kowalski's mad inventions.
Far out. This doesn't sound like it's for the kids.
No, you'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. Rico can also swallow useful tools, such as dynamite, and regurgitate them upon request when needed. What a skill. Everyone could use that skill.
Yeah.
It would save on bags and all those sorts of things. And in some episodes, he's shown to be in a relationship with a female doll called Miss Perky.
Right.
About which we're going to learn much more.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. The last one is Private, who's voiced by James Patrick Stewart. He's the emotionally sensitive rookie of the group, younger and less experienced than the other penguins. He's got an interest in unicorns, as evidenced by his love of a TV show called The Lunicorns, which he is often ridiculed.
Oh. In this universe of the show, are unicorns also fictional? Or are they real?
This is a TV show that's a bit like My Little Pony, or I also thought of Unikitty and Cloud Cuckoo Land from the Lego Movie.
Okay.
Which you Have you seen the Lego movie?
No.
No. Okay, another reference you won't get. Hopefully someone else will, though. The writer for this episode is Brandon Sawyer, who has been jointly nominated for 4 Outstanding Writing in Animation Emmy Awards and has won twice.
Okay, that's pretty good pedigree.
They were all for The Penguins of Madagascar.
Oh.
And background to watching it, I've watched this basically with the kids from time to time, and there's been a few corkers in there.
Okay. Yeah, no, but I mean, who brought the show into the house first? Did someone find it and go, hey, Dad, can we watch this? Or did you go, all right, kids, check this out. This is awesome.
No, I didn't bring it into the house.
Okay.
They were watching it, and obviously I just sat down with them sometime and thought, oh, this is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the kids' stuff, some of the movies are all right, but most of the TV's not brilliant.
No, it doesn't offer a lot for the adult mind.
No, but this one does, and this is one I'll make time for when it's on. So, yes, that's how I came to it. And we've already established that you haven't watched it before, so
no way.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think at this point we better go and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then come back and see what you think.
It will be interesting. All right, well, let's give it a darn good go.
All right.
I just can't stand to see the poor maniac down like this.
Not even the awesome might of science can make his doll speak without a voice chip.
Well, that's not your time for me then,
Private right. Better to tackle this after a good night shut-eye. Private?
What? I had to save one Lunicorn. Just one. I didn't know she glowed in the dark.
Hugs for everyone.
I didn't know she could do that either.
Obviously equipped with some sort of voice chip.
A horsey-to-dolly voice chip transplant? Are you mad?
Well, with great risk comes great reward.
All I ask is that you be as gentle as the Lunicorns themselves.
Oh, then, you may want to sleep through this one.
Okay, and we're back from watching The Penguins of Madagascar.
Hey!
Oh, that was the shortest episode yet, wasn't it?
Oh,
you weren't wrong.
it just zoomed past.
You
'Cause
really
you're enjoying it so much.
Holy moly! Right, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
All right. Well,
Even though there was only 2 minutes 30 seconds of program, I managed to get a whole page
2
of
minutes
notes.
30 seconds. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Well, let me tell you about it, and I will spend more than 2 minutes 30 seconds doing this. Okay. So the penguins are at home arguing about watching the Lunicorns, which is that show that Private loves so much.
The others weren't digging it.
Yeah, they weren't into it. Now, why do penguins in a zoo have a TV, Jeff? Did you question that?
No, I didn't question it. I'm still, you can't question it when you're trying to get to grips with the characters and the situation and everything that's going on. But I reckon that if I've got my characters right, even if they weren't provided with one by the zoo staff,
They've rigged it up themselves.
They seem really capable of being able to get their hands on whatever they need.
Kowalski's probably got them 300 cable channels.
Yeah.
Anyway, the majority don't like the Lunicorns, so they, by democratic decision, promptly changed the channels to a wrestling show, which is much more Skipper and Kowalski's flavour. But an advert comes on. The manufacturer of Miss Perky dolls has upgraded the line with a voice chip. Now the dolls can speak, saying things like, I love you, or I love you too. Rico, accordingly, flips his lid, and he wants this upgrade for his Miss Perky doll.
He goes running up to the TV and starts hugging the TV.
That's right. So he throws Kowalski, the mad scientist, into the car to go in search of a voice chip. They start at a toy shop, but this new talking Miss Perky is more popular than a utility belt Buzz Lightyear. And they sell out quickly. They try another toy shop, but there's no luck there either. And eventually they decide they're going to try the Miss Perky factory. But everyone else apparently had the same idea, so they almost get trampled to death and fail to get hold of this voice chip that they're looking for. Now, this factory also happens to be the place where they make the Lunicorn line of toys. And there's a box full of them, which, like Stinky Pete, no one wants to buy.
Mm-hmm.
These are references to Toy Story.
Yeah, okay. Stinky Pete, the old prospector.
Yeah, he's the old prospector.
He's the Frank Skinner.
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's a box full of unicorns, which no one wants. And this guy's like throwing them into this huge cauldron and they're going up in flames. But this nevertheless grabs the private's attention and he sneaks one unicorn back to the zoo without the others noticing.
Which would have been difficult because there's not a lot of room in that car and it's a pretty big unicorn.
Exactly. That
we can suspend our disbelief, though.
Okay, well, let's do that. So they get home and Rico's a bit depressed. I think it's Skipper. He says, I can't stand to see the poor maniac down like this. So Kowalski comes up with an evil genius plan to, because they've discovered this unicorn that's been snuck back home. He comes up with this evil genius plan to remove the voice chip from the unicorn and put it into Miss Perky. Private consents to this, reluctantly, and he says, all I ask is that you be as gentle as the unicorns, as Kowalski's putting this massive hole saw drill bit into his drill. He says, well, I think you might want to sleep through this one then. And he turns around and next thing you know, there's this like noise and lights flashing and all sorts of...
And he had to hide his head under a pillow, poor old Private, because he doesn't want
to hear it.
Witness
he doesn't want
the
to
gruesome carving up of this poor unicorn.
It's fully gruesome. Anyway, the next day they wake up and presents Rico with his new improved bride. And sure enough, he's over the moon. Unfortunately, the unicorn's voice chip is meant for unicorn toys, not Miss Perky dolls. And it confuses Rico with its messages of peace and love.
Yeah, so because I didn't quite pay attention to the first bit of when what's the name of the doll? They're actually...
Miss Perky?
Miss Perky, thank you. Is she not a nice character who says peace and love things? Is Miss Perky a bit more...
Well, she's just silent.
Right. But they've got a voice chip in Miss Perky in the new toy line, so presumably in the ad that Rico saw to make him want the chip doll version in the first place, they must have demonstrated some of the things that she said.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering how
Do you remember the ad? It had a little girl in it.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, Miss Perky, you can talk.
Yeah.
And she says... I can't remember what she says, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. So I was just getting at, is the various sayings that Miss Perky would say all that different to what the Lunicorn would say?
Yes, I think they're...
Okay. Quite different.
Yeah. Noticeably.
Right, okay. Where were we, says Steve?
Where were we? My goodness. This
you ruined my flow, bro.
Yes, I've lost my flow. Lost my mojo. Okay, so this confuses Rico with its messages of peace and love. King Julian fancies himself a bit of a ladies' man, and he advises Rico to do everything the doll tells him to, so as to keep it happy. Keep the pretty lady happy.
Yep.
And Rico seems to take this advice on board.
He takes it very, very literally. Almost to the letter.
Yes, as we're about to see, because the next thing that happens is that they're leaving for a mission, and Skipper gets talked into taking Miss Perky along, and Rico, who's been told to follow his heart, and he's driving the car that they're in, drives into a subway. And the next thing you know, they're obviously out of that scrape. And by the way, you could hear the sound of subway trains running them over and all this sort of stuff.
Oh.
Next thing you know, they're all back in the car and they go over a bump, and that sets the voice chip off again. And this time it says, "Hooray for puppies." And they happen to be going past a yard that's got these big guard dog signs on it.
Yeah, like a silhouette of a dog on there.
Yeah, so Rico follows his heart. And
Rico goes, "Oh, puppy there!"
Yeah, puppies. So next thing you know, they get chased around by dogs and that sort of stuff. Anyway, after all this, they drive back to the zoo. They drop Rico and Miss Perky off because they're disgusted with this, and he's told to get his head straight. So the others go back off to continue the mission. But to Skipper's horror, when he returns, Rico's become a peace-loving hippie.
Oh.
They walk through bead curtains in their hideout to find that he's wearing some kind of dreadlocks, tie-dye T-shirt, John Lennon sunglasses, etc., and he's playing the bongos.
Oh.
So the guys try to get him to snap out of it.
So this is their enforcer, Rico.
Yeah.
Who's the getaway driving enforcer, who's now completely useless to them.
Yep.
And it's
no use
enough
whatsoever.
to bring a tear to the eye.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So to remedy this Kowalski prescribes 20 cc's of senseless destruction stat.
Yes!
Let's get him back to normal. And Skipper says something like, come on, Rico, let's go and blow something up. A fight ensues, and which doesn't go well for the guys. Private, invoking imagination and the non-existent power of Lunicorns, tries using Star Kisses, Moon Hugs, and a pixie ticket to a magic land nation, which doesn't go well either.
No. It was a brilliant sequence, though, because he, in his mind, and we're seeing it from his mind's perspective, it's this beautiful, brilliant piece of work where he's really taken it to him and firing laser beams out of the unicorn's horn and all this sort of stuff, and then you pull back and you see what's really happening, and
you snap back to reality, and it's just pathetic.
It's ineffective.
Ineffective, that's a very generous way of putting it. Anyway, this all ends when the doll suggests to Rico that they become special friends, which Private translates for him as, that's girl talk for I never want to see you again in my life.
Yeah, he's been friend-zoned.
Yeah.
Oh.
Poor guy. Rico's devastated, believing that she no longer loves him. So he kind of goes back over to the side of the other penguins and gives them a hug. And while he's doing that, Kowalski kind of saunters over to the doll, whips the voice chip out, and uses ventriloquism to convince Rico that she's changed her mind.
Poor ventriloquism.
And then he gets rid of the evidence by throwing the voice chip over the wall, which lands in King Julian's smoothie, and he starts wooing the smoothie.
Oh. His pickup lines are the worst.
He's completely desperate and pathetic. And that's it. Everything's back to the way it should be.
Hey.
Equilibrium's been restored.
Yeah.
Any initial thoughts before I
launch into the case? I've got all sorts of notes. And this is the danger, of course, when you're seeing something for the first time and you take your eyes off the screen to make some notes about, I liked that bit, I'll scribble down a short burst on that, and then you miss something that could be absolutely vital.
Did you miss something that was absolutely vital?
Well, I wouldn't know. 20 cc's of senseless destruction stat is brilliant. I love that sort of stuff, and then that sort of gets you going a bit, because I love violence against cartoon animals. Mm-hmm. So from the days of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, getting, Daffy's head blown off or whatever it happens to be, whatever horrible fate befalls them, cartoon violence against animals is always hilarious when they're doing it to themselves.
Yep.
And that's what I appreciated about this show. But yes, let's go into some of the points you've got.
All right. Well, let's talk a bit about the plot. We've got one penguin who loves a dolly. We've got another one who loves unicorns, which could be the one thing that's cuter than penguins. And then there's Kowalski's Frankenstein-esque plan to fuse these elements together by presenting Rico with a bride who will, to quote, violate all laws of nature and injection moulded plastic. Another classic quote. And they're expecting it to go well, but of course it goes horribly wrong. So I just love that whole concept of putting the two things together. And the second point about the plot that I wanted to make was, it's funny how both Private and Rico have got this imaginary relationship with these dolls and characters, these inanimate objects. On one hand, Rico's relationship with Miss Perky is enabled and encouraged by the others, up to a point where it starts impeding their missions and that sort of thing. But Private's love of unicorns just gets short shrift. It's cut down. It's not encouraged at all. So what's with that, Jeff?
I don't know. I haven't watched enough of it to find out. But I guess they're crediting Private with at least some modicum of intelligence, and he should know better. Whereas Rico, who I don't know the show well enough, nobody take offense, but I see him, as I mentioned, as the enforcer. So he's just a mindless thug. So they're not, imagining anything better for him. So we got to throw him what scraps of little joy we can. And so therefore it's quite acceptable for him to have a talking doll that he believes is actually speaking to him. Whereas Private should know better because he knows it's fictional.
Private's held to a high standard.
He's held to a higher standard.
Watch this, rather a lot in preparation, and I don't think they actually mentioned to Rico that they've done this with the Lunicorn's voice chip.
No, wouldn't that rumble the whole plan?
Well, but he knew when they went off to the toy shop and the factory that that's what they were going to do, right?
Yeah.
But then they don't say, by the way, while you were asleep, we discovered that Private had a talking Lunicorn and we've ripped the voice chip out of that and put it into Miss Perky.
I think they wouldn't want that. I would think, don't they want Rico to think that it is a Miss Perky proper voice chip? implying that while Rico was asleep, he's just assuming that they thought, oh, well, we'll go back and give it another try, but let's let Rico sleep. So they've gone all the way back there somehow, or gone somewhere else. And
does he even know that a voice chip is in this thing? That's my point.
Yeah. I don't think he does.
He just accepts it.
No, he saw her speaking on the TV, and he wants one of those, and now he's got one, so why ask questions?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm agreeing with you.
Right. I don't know, did we dive too deep on that one?
Maybe. We're about to go deeper. So it's a mix for young and old. So I've got some examples of jokes for the older ones.
Yep.
There's obvious allusions to Frankenstein, which we've already talked about a bit. Miss Perky.
Yep.
She's quite perky.
Yeah, she's amply built.
Yeah, she's got a large bosom.
Yeah.
In the toy shop, someone picks up one of the penguins, shakes it, and it farts or something like that. And he says, "A talking penguin? What is this? 2005?"
Yeah.
Well, 2005 was when the Madagascar movie came out.
Right.
And obviously there were talking penguins
Yeah.
of the penguins of Madagascar.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. There's a certain amount I'm going to miss out on by not having seen Madagascar, but yeah, I totally get you. I just like the fart gag because, it's always a sign of a quality comedy. So, yep.
Well, I was going to mention that later on.
Oh, okay.
Every time you squeeze Miss Perky to make her talk, she makes a farting noise.
I don't know what that was.
For the younger viewers.
Well, of course.
King Julian's terrible chat-up lines.
Oh.
I think the worst one is, "Baby, was your mother a fighter pilot? Because when she gave birth to you, she dropped a bomb."
Yeah. I don't know.
It makes me cringe.
But
Certainly
like
didn't turn Miss Perky's head.
No, not that you can anyway,
No.
but it wouldn't have done if you could.
Yes. Exactly. Skipper protests about taking the doll on a mission.
Well, you would.
They're driving a dolly car.
What is that? Barbie's Dune buggy.
Something like that.
Yeah, actually, so she's probably the most qualified to be riding in that car.
Yeah, exactly. She should be the one driving, and the rest of them should be in the back seat.
That just brings up more rabbit holes to go down, which is, did they just take the chassis from this Barbie Dune buggy and Kowalski's rigged it up with a proper little electric motor or something? Who knows? But that thing can move.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Another
but
one
no,
is
I hadn't considered that at all, so there you go. Well spotted.
And then when you insult Rico's lady friend, his beloved lady friend, he will commit violence against you. And how will he do that, Jeff?
I don't know. He'll leap up and smash you with the doll. Is that what happened? So don't
basically by whacking you.
Yeah, don't be insulting
with
my lady and trying to emotionally hurt her. He tries to alleviate that by physically grabbing her and using her as a weapon to smash King. What's his name? Yeah.
Slightly contradictory.
It is a little bit, but he's a creature of instinct, from what I can gather. Rico.
Yes, he's operating on pure instinct.
Oh.
Anyway, that's hilarious. Some other gags, and we'll see if you had any of these written down.
Right.
Private, watching the ad about talking Miss Perky, starts launching into this monologue about how having talking dolls instead of silent dolls is taking all the fun and the imagination out of it. Why would anyone want? And mid-sentence, he gets just ploughed over by Rico, who obviously wants this.
Yeah.
Knocks his friend over, flat on the floor, and makes his way right up to the TV and goes, "Wah, wah, 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 wah."
Yep. And he's pointing at it.
He's banging the doll's head on it, saying, that's what I want. Skipper, looking into a box of unicorns in this factory, says, "Oh, it's just a bunch of those TV moon horses."
Yeah. And then
consistently unimpressed.
Chucks them in the furnace. I don't want to harp on about that, but oh man, you can't just be chucking perfectly good unicorns.
What else are you going to do with them?
I don't know.
Perfectly good unicorns.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of kiddies out there that want them.
Yeah. When Private jumps into the box of unicorns, he's picking up the different boxes and he's going, "Oh, this one's Princess Self-Respectra. That one's Prince Shared a Lot."
Yeah.
Just those names crack me up.
Oh, they are. Yeah, it is good.
And then he's saying, "I can't imagine why anyone wouldn't want to buy these unicorns." And Skipper says, "Yes, that's a real puzzler."
Skipper seems to me, and you'll set me straight, but I imagine in other episodes he's got much more of a role because he's the leader. He's doing all this stuff, but in this one, it seems he's got more of a back seat. Is that right? Or
well, he's on the back foot a bit.
Yeah, because he's got to deal with all these crazy people and their dolls.
Yep. Well, he does Like when he does raise the concern about Rico being out of sorts and everything like that.
Yep.
He wants to solve the problem.
Yep.
And puts Kowalski on the case and everything like that. So I think he is kind of directing the way things are going a bit.
He just didn't seem to get a lot of lines.
Mm. And then when Kowalski comes up with a plan of inserting the Lunicorn chip into Miss Perky, Skipper says, "A horsey to Dolly voice chip transplant? Are you mad?" Well, yes. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Miss Perky comes out with one of her lines, which is, "I call rainbows upside down colour smiles."
What is Rico supposed to do with that one? The other ones are sort of instructions that he can follow if he takes them with a little bit of, but that one, I imagine he had a puzzled look on his face when that one came out.
Yep. They're all the one-liners I had. Did you have any others?
But just Rico's joy at the new speaking dolly when they give it to him, he's just so happy. It's awesome. And then she starts giving him morality advice, and he's, okay. But yeah, I love seeing characters super happy with something that's happened. So just, I really liked that bit. Mm.
It's the playing against type thing.
Well, the whole thing flew by so quickly. So by the time I've got a grip on what's going on, do you have any stats on how long it actually went for?
14 minutes.
14 minutes, all right.
Including the credits and whatnot.
So it's brilliant, fast-paced. I like fast-paced, so that's cool.
There's no
mucking about.
Laugh track inserted or anything like that. It's just one thing after another.
Yeah. The operation on the Lunicorn I really liked. But I just love that they speed everywhere. And it's pretty crazy. But I suppose there's no penguin cops in tiny cars to pull them over, so they can get away with speeding wherever they want. So they're not going to draw attention to themselves or their missions.
Well,
apart from the colour of the car.
Pay attention to the scale of the thing, they're probably only a foot off the ground or something like that, so they may be zipping past unnoticed or something like that.
They're above the law.
They would go under the floor of a normal car.
Yeah. And the last thing is, because I guess when you come across new characters, you're trying to work them out and then compare them to other characters in other shows. So we talked about Kowalski being like Graham in The Goodies, and then it occurred to me that Rico is sort of like Kenny from South Park in that you can't understand a word he's saying, and he just operates completely on base instinct and just goes, "That's what I want, mine," and goes after it. Mm-hmm. And there's no a forethought or anything. I mean, I don't have any more notes. But what I will say is I really like a fast-paced show. So this ticks that box. That's pretty cool. I'm starting to like animated sitcoms more and more because you can get really exaggerated reactions in the faces and just the ability to do more stuff. I've mentioned that to you off air about Corner Gas animated as compared to normal Corner Gas.
I was wondering if we were going to get into a conversation about whether this is a sitcom.
No.
No? Okay, you're just buying it.
I'm totally buying in that it's a sitcom.
I wonder what other people are going to think.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to fit
what separates a kid's cartoon from an animated sitcom?
What separates an adult cartoon like South Park, for example, or Family Guy or something like that from a sitcom?
They're examples which people always give about animated sitcoms. I don't think anyone's questioning
that. So
they're
it
sitcoms.
Comes down to the length, basically.
Is it?
And the audience. So you're saying because it's intended for kids and because it's of a shorter length, it's more like a cartoon than a sitcom?
Well, I thought one of the distinctions might be where provision is made for adults to watch as well as kids.
No, I get you. It's strange because it's like, I've just not even brought this up and totally accepted it. And Steve's gone, as he's writing his notes during the week, right, I've got to prepare for this argument here.
Yes.
I'm going to make all my counterpoints to all this.
We're going to have it one after another. Shall I put my final summary forward then?
Yeah, and then I'll rant and rave and we'll see where we arrive at.
Okay. So I just think it's hilarious. It's preposterous. It's a situation with a wink to adults in the room. There's innuendo, irony, one-liners, and parody. It's got a bit of everything. It's brilliant. I rest my case. Okay.
I enjoyed it, and I think if I was to then go and binge watch, which let's face it is going to be pretty likely because this is what happens, that I'll be coming out raving about it, and I'll end up having watched more of it than you have within a fortnight or something like that. So this reminds me of what happened with not only Corner Gas, but also The Good Place. And Yonderland, actually. This is another prime example. So Yonderland I really liked. I don't really know much about it. outside of that one episode. I'm still learning everything that's going on, but I can just sort of see it's the sort of thing I'm going to really enjoy. And, on that basis, I'm taking a leap of faith. And so on that basis, I would let it go through to the Hall of Fame.
Well,
you're expecting that. You're expecting an argument. You're expecting me to knock it back. You're expecting all these things. But it's got all the elements I like.
Okay.
So there we go.
I watched this about 6 times, putting my notes together.
Yeah. You were stressing out, man.
I was, man.
What am I going to do?
Oh, and I even figured it was probably we're about due for a
knockback.
failure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you've just got to take that leap of faith. And I didn't have any complaints. Is that good enough for you, or do you want me to justify it more and turn it down?
No, I'll leave it there.
Well, I'm glad you brought that along, and I hope you're pleased with the ease with which it went through, even though you're expecting me to spring a trap on you at some point.
You're obviously in a good mood.
Yeah.
Jeff, we did hear from a couple of people.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. No, excellent.
We heard from David Martin on Twitter. He followed us, and he also said, "Love the podcast. An unseen but often spoken about sitcom character, the cat in Sorry." Now, I think what he might be doing here is harking back to an episode a while back where we talked about characters in sitcoms that are part of the show but not seen.
Yeah.
And
either heard or spoken about. Or...
Yes. Wolowitz's mum is an example, but she's not the one that we think it was. We think it might have been, what's her name's Baby?
Yes.
In the British Empire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the baby
Carol's
in the
baby.
drawer, Ben. Yeah, Carol's
Ben the baby.
Ben the baby in the drawer. Yeah,
so
possibly. I mean, we're not 100% on that.
That's our working theory.
Yes, and other examples being, as I mentioned at the time, Mrs. Mannering from Dad's Army, and Peggy Bundy's mum in Married with Children, who we never get to see, but is often referenced. She lived with them for a whole season. And there was another one, wasn't there?
No, I can't remember.
But now we can add the cat from Sorry to that list.
Yep. To our exhaustive list.
Yep.
And I've also thrown it into our spreadsheet, which is linked to the Facebook page, because we've got a page on there which is ones that we intend to watch.
Oh, good.
Yes, because he said that show is worth an episode too.
Aha.
So we'll check it out.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, David. And we also heard from someone on the Facebook page.
Yes.
We got a reaction to the cover photo for Chance in a Million.
Yes, it's nice to see some happiness about Chance in a Million.
John Warren was stoked to see Chance in a Million there. So
brilliant.
Yes.
No, it's nice to get feedback. Thank you very much.
Yes, lots of fond memories for that show.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll sign off now and see you in a fortnight.
All right. Well, have a good time, and thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Join us next time on Sitcom Showdown, when we'll be putting another 5-star episode under the microscope. And in the meantime, you can contact us with feedback on Facebook, Twitter @Sitcom Showdown, or by email sitcomshowdown@gmail.com.